Hi there, you rates. In this video here, we're going to be going through exercise 6E, where it's an introduction to rates. And so this exercise is very straightforward. Your goal is to simply tell the difference between a rate and a ratio. So what's a ratio again? A ratio shows the relationship between the same type of quantities with the same units. Okay, so often if you realize with the ratio so far, if you're working in dollars, then they all should be in dollars. If you're working in grams, so for example, if I said 3 minutes to 1 hour, it doesn't make sense to write 3 to 1 because it needs to be the same quantity or the same units, because otherwise people will read this as either 3 hours to 1 hour or 3 minutes to 1 minute. So that's why you would need to change this quantity, hours to minutes, or you can change minutes to hours. So they both have to have the same unit, and they're also the same type of quantity. Okay? All right. Whereas a rate shows the relationship of two different types of quantities with potentially, usually, different units. So what are some examples? Boys to girls, we're comparing two people, but in terms of the units, we're saying, well, units is number of people, but the quantity is type of people. So you got boys versus girls, okay? Whereas in rates, if you have a look at rates here, see in both boys and girls, this is people. So the quantity and the type is the same. This is money. This is weight. They're both weight measurements, and this is, I guess, liter or water measurement. Whereas in rates, can you see there are two different quantities? One is cost of petrol, so this is money. But then this is per liter, which is measure of water quantity or liquid. So there are two different quantities that are working in harmony. So as liquid increases, the more liters you have, then the more it'll cost you. Yeah, same thing here. This is money, and then per kilogram, which is weight. So the larger the weight, then the more the money. Running 4Ks, so this is distance. Okay, so this is distance, and then this is time. So there's two quantities here. When you're working with rates, you're measuring two different types of quantities. Whereas in ratios, both the quantities are the same. Can you see that clear difference there? So each time that you want to look at, is it a rate or is it a ratio? Well, you simply look at, are you comparing two different quantities or not? And often the word per or every, that's usually a good hint. So test your understanding. Which one of these are rates? Have a look, have a think. Circle the ones that you think are. I'm going to pause the video just for a second. And I'm assuming that you had a thought about it already. I know in the video it doesn't look like I paused, but I did pause. And so now you would have chosen maybe B, so 180 meals per minute. So it's time versus liquid measurement. This is dollars per hour. So that's time versus cash. So that's a rate. So B and C are rates. What else do we also have? We've got H. I don't know what C stands for there, but it's cents. So 84 cents per liter. And then again, 4.2 runs per over. This is a rate. This is a rate. Okay, so anything that involves two quantities, whereas you can see A is just one quantity. It's dollars. This is area. And this is just a value. So D, G, and A are ratios, or not really ratios, just a quantity, whilst B, C, E, F, and H are clearly rates. Okay? And then you move on to example 1. So they want you to express the following as a simplified rate. So here's my rate. There's going to be two quantities here. This is number of students. So 21 for every 21 students, that has 3 teachers. So if I were to simplify this then, this would mean what number fits nicely for 3 teachers or per teacher. I want to know per teacher. So for every one teacher, so per one teacher, okay, how many students would there be? Well, logically, to go from 3 down to 1, I have to divide it by 3. but whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So that means that 21 divided by 3 now gives me 7. So that means there are 7 students at this particular rate, 7 students per teacher. So every teacher there's going to be 7 students in that group. Okay, so hence if you have 3 teachers, then you've got 21 students. So the rate is 7 students per teacher. That's your rate. Okay, and then same thing over here. If you think about it, you've got now $30 per or for 5 kilograms. Now, I don't want per 5 kilograms. I just want per kilogram, which is 1. So how do you go from 5 down to 1? I had to divide this by 5, but whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So 30 divided by 5 gives me now 6. So that tells me it's $6 per kilo. So your rate of charge is you are charging $6 per kilo. Okay, and that's what you're doing. You're simplifying. Instead of saying $30 for 5 kilos, it's much easier for people to understand the rate when it's singular. So it's per kilo, per teacher, per kilometer, per hour, per minute. That's normally how we simplify our rates. Okay, so let's have a look at this. This is a worded problem, and that's it for today. So in example 2, Michelle grew from 90 centimeters to 130 centimeters over 5 years. So let's think about it then. Well, how much does she grow in those 5 years? 90 centimeters to 130. Well, 130 take away 90. She's grown a total of 40 centimeters, right? In 5 years. So if you were to write this down, she grew 40 centimeters over 5 years. But now when they ask you find her average rate of growth per year, can you see how it says per year? Per year. So instead of saying in 5 years or over 5 years, I want it per year. So to get it down to 1, from 5 down to 5 down to 1, I have to divide this side by 5. But whatever you do to one side, you have to divide the other. So 40 divided by 5 gives me an average of 8 centimeters per year. So hence the answer is her average rate of growth must be 8 centimeters every year, or 8 centimeters per year. Okay, so that's what exercise 6E is. It's identifying the rates, so which ones are rates, and then once you know which ones are rates, they want you to simplify those rates. Okay, that's 6E.